welcome to Beyond Our Focus. I'm Stefan, this is Amanda, and this is Breaking Prisms for May 21st, where we go over the Twilight Zone and Black Mirror. We are currently going over the new Twilight Zone, the new as in the first season of the 2019 reboot of the Twilight Zone with Jordan Peele as the narrator, which is really good. And once we finish this, we're... according to what gaps there may be, I'm not 100% sure, but they're about to start the new season of Black Mirror, which is only 3 episodes, so...
it is possible we might be going over that first and then going back to the 5th season.
Maybe. We'll see. Actually, I think it's the 4th. I think this is the 5th.
4th? 5th?
It said
I don't know.
5th earlier. It's weird.
We missed an entire season, didn't we?
I've seen it, but you need to see it.
Because we skipped a Bandersnatch.
We did skip the Bandersnatch, and then we went to Twilight Zone, and we did this, and
yeah.
It's been a whole thing. But today, we are going over the 8th episode in the new Twilight Zone called Point of Origin.
Really? Good job, because I forgot.
Starring, you know her name.
Jennifer Goodwin.
Jennifer Goodwin.
I hope.
From a show I don't know.
Jennifer Goodwin. She's Mary Margaret or Snow White in Once Upon a Time, and she also plays the voice of Judy Hopps in Zootopia.
Judy Hopps.
Judy Hopps.
Judy Hopps. So, I do like her, and she is really good in this as well.
Yes, very good.
All right, so we're going to go over some top-level stuff for a few minutes. I'm going to start this timer. That's already done. For a few minutes, and then we'll jump into spoilers. So, top level. What you thinking? How are we feeling? How you looking? What's going on?
It was different. It was a very, very Twilight Zone episode.
I will agree 100% with that. It was super Twilight Zone.
Yes, it was eerie. It had a really crazy feel considering that they were very, very retro, but everything around them was modern. So it just made it strikingly different.
The thing is, not everything. It was choosy about what was retro-ish weird.
Mostly just
without spoiling things, I have some theories.
Yes. But mostly just the character styles, how they present, not really presented her, because she just presented herself as rich. But as far as dress-wise. How
she looked and how some of her friends looked in the beginning of these episodes and her daughters. All very 1940s, 50s look to them.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Think like Pleasantville or, what is the Stepford Wives? Doosey-doo, doosey-doo.
I don't know. I've never seen Stepford Wives.
I do know Pleasantville. It's actually a pretty good movie.
I know Pleasantville.
But yes, so pretty much just basic summary-ish thing. You have a rich woman.
Yeah, a rich family.
Yes, a rich family who... they mysteriously get taken one day, and they got to figure out what's going on.
That's super top level right there. Yep. Rich family gets taken to this place, and they don't know why. And the whole episode is about figuring out why they were taken.
Yes. That's pretty much it without going too far into issues or spoilers. So.
Yes, without spoilers. But as consistently as this season has been, I think it was shot really well. I think it was acted really well.
Jordan Peele was
once again very good. I always enjoy when we get him at the front and the back of the episode.
Yes.
Always disappointing when he just a small narrative or something at the end. I like seeing you. And he gives such a creepy vibe.
Yes.
Even the end of this episode, which was very very peculiar how I went about it.
I like how they brought him into this episode, considering that it's pretty much right when they're taken. So you see a vehicle, and you see everyone around the vehicle. So you know who is all standing there. Yet when it pans to the window of the vehicle, his reflection is there. And you're like, you weren't standing there. I know you weren't.
He always makes an interesting appearance. I love seeing him in it. Again, he gives a really cool, creepy, weird vibe. Like, he really is out of place.
Yes, he does not belong there, but he's he's like the unseen observer.
I'm thinking Fringe.
Oh.
You haven't seen Fringe, have you?
I've seen some of Fringe. I haven't seen all of it.
You know what? We're just going to say we're changing the whole channel. We're only reviewing TV series from now on. And Fringe is going to be on that list because I would love to rewatch Fringe. I love Fringe. One of my favorite TV shows.
From what I've seen of it, I liked it. So
Well, it only gets better because it starts off almost very monster of the week.
Yeah.
And fades very, I don't know, somewhere in the second, third season. It transitions to just one giant story. You have to watch every single episode to know what's going on.
It's pretty much, I would say almost every episode, or not every episode. Okay, Supernatural started out that way, where it was Monster of the Week each episode, and then it actually gradually turned into a full story. And then X-Files did the same thing. X-Files was, each one was a different case until you get into Mulder's background and Scully's background, and everything just starts building up.
Well,
and building
the issue comes down to people. Network television doesn't do very well with giant stories. It does really well with Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
So, inevitably, unfortunately, Fringe started not to do as well. And you can see between seasons 4 and 5, there's like some giant jump. And it was them finishing the series. And it's like, oh, God, I would love to have seen this played out through a couple of seasons and not like, oh, we have to finish it. Let's do it. So it's a little disappointing there.
I can't remember how many seasons X-Files had. I know at one point in time, David Duchovny, who played Mulder, was actually not in it. They had the guy who played the coach from The Faculty for a while in his spot. I can't remember his name. I just know what he looks like. And then I think David Duchovny ended up coming back towards the very end. Plus, they had the reboot. A few episodes here and there. And then Supernatural, I think, is on its 14th season, and it's the final one, so...
It's one of the few shows that it was going...
It had a big enough
forever.
fan base for everyone to be like, keep going, keep going.
A hardcore fan base is like, we're not going to let it die.
Yeah, but they didn't age that well. Sam was looking a little ragged the last time I watched Supernatural, so yeah, I think it's time to cut.
I haven't seen it in a while.
But anyways, we are
Let's go back to the actual Twilight Zone episode. All right, so... Overall, we liked a lot of elements about it. This episode, if we say there is any negatives, because we should talk about the negatives according to what score we're planning on giving it.
Well, is there a way to give away any negatives without spoiling it? Because we haven't hit our spoiler section yet.
Yeah, but I don't know. If you watch the commercial, like us, we guessed what the episode was about, and it was totally about that. Without saying spoilers, this was another episode that was a little heavy-handed.
Yes. This one, I would say not as much, or they were able to turn it into a creative story compared to the previous ones, but there were times where you're like, dude, I get it.
I totally get it. I get it. I know you don't think I do, but I do. Nowhere near as bad as Replay or...
I don't even remember the Wonderkind.
Well... To me, Wonderkind's a little more par with this one.
So, Not All Men.
Not All Men and Replay were the most heavy-handed about their message that they were totally trying to tell you. Wonderkind, not as much, but felt more Disney original TV series, in my opinion.
It did not feel like a Twilight Zone episode.
It did not. So, this episode, not as heavy-handed, but super Twilight Zone.
Yes, very much. Straight away from the beginning, just how weird the contrast was. But it got to a point where we're like, why are they so retro? And we're trying to figure out if it took place in a different time. Meanwhile, there is a cell phone paused on the screen. We're both not even looking at it. We're just like, why is it taking place in a different timeline?
Yeah, it really felt like it was taking place, because we started in the home. Yes. So you're in the home, and these are the only people you see, and it's like, wow, everything looks like...
I feel stupid now, because actually the first scene is the ice cream truck passing by. Didn't even think about it.
Doesn't matter. We see them in the home. They look super retro. It's like, huh. Yes, and there's just a cell phone on the screen. Like, God.
He literally paused it to where you see the cell phone, you see the guy, because it's a camera connected to the cell phone. It's paused on the screen, and we're sitting there talking about what era that they're currently in. Yeah, I felt smart.
Yeah, we were all dumb. It doesn't matter.
Either way, because of the fact that this one was able to mix Twilight Zone and to blend the story in enough where it wasn't like, okay, children, now listen, everybody. This is the message we're trying to give you today. Is for...
A little bit. A little bit. But nowhere near as bad as other episodes.
But that being said, if without a little couple details removed... I'm going to say this is a high 3.
A high 3.
three.
Huh?
A high
A high 3. We don't do high 3s, okay?
Okay, fine.
Solid numbers. We determined this.
Fine. We lost 2 companion cubes, but that one we almost saved. Okay?
We almost saved
We
one.
almost saved it.
Almost saved one. Couldn't quite get it there. This was definitely better than some of the episodes we've already did. 2, don't think it was quite as good. It's hard because it was a good episode.
It was almost a 4, if not for those times when you're like...
Spoilers will explain why we're not giving it that. But we're giving it a 3. So 3 out of 5 companion cubes. Now, we're going to jump into spoilers for about 5-6 minutes so we can wrap this up. And we're going to explain why we're giving it a 3 and what we would have done a little differently maybe to not give it a 3. Because it was a good episode.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Goodbye.
Go watch it, come back, or just watch, continue onward because we'd appreciate that too, just because we'll spoil it.
I mean, I guess you could stop here and never come back, but
Yeah,
it'd be sad.
Got some top level stuff. All right. So, why we gave it a 3. This episode definitely heavy-handed. Not super, but heavy-handed on immigration.
Yes, you could tell that right away from the trailer itself. The summary, not as much, but it's still the trailer for sure.
But the trailer made it very obvious that it was. I think the trailer actually was worse than the episode itself.
I would definitely agree because they seem to focus on that first thing, which was the maid being taken. Mm-hmm. Like that was the main impact, and you're like, oh, I automatically know what it is.
Well, it was that, and then different scenes they showed. It's like, well, this is definitely about immigration. You get in the episode, it's like, okay, it is, but. It's not as heavy-handed as the commercial was for the episode.
Yes.
But yeah, the worst part of the episode, unfortunately, is the maid.
Yes.
If we would have taken the maid out of this episode and changed slightly some wording in the interrogation scene, it really would have been a much better episode. It would have been like a solid 4. On par with other good episodes we enjoyed.
Yes, I definitely agree, because with the maid situation, it's like, if you're trying to show the fear, if you're trying to show the shock, if you're trying to just prove that point of how scary it is for someone to just bust in your home and take you, we get that from the main character later on. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we see it then, and then the fact the same thing happens to her, I think seeing it twice, it kind of lessens that impact.
The only purpose the maid seems to serve is to really give some very heavy-handed dialogue about, this episode's definitely about immigration.
Yes.
100%.
It's pretty much, she's only there to say, hey, you don't understand what we're going through.
Exactly. That's why she's there.
But the thing is even if she wasn't there, even if that dialogue wasn't there, we would have still been able to take that from the main character. The fear she experiences, she's going through, being ripped away from her home. The fear of being in an unknown place surrounded by people, being possibly shipped somewhere else. It's like we got all of that from her in a very creative way, to which the maid seemed almost modern. The maid almost seemed out of place in this episode.
Yeah. Again, she didn't need to be there. She was only there to give us this heavy-handed dialogue. That to beat you over the head about what the episode was about, and to really say that, we don't understand what she's going through, even though we're watching the other character go through the exact same thing.
Yes. And then to top it off, it's like, well, also, of course, she's also there to prove another point, which is this rich woman, of course, tries to pay her way out of things by saying, do I need to make a donation to the school and stuff like that. And then the other problem we had with it was the interrogation dialogue, because just like Not All Men, they decided to pull every catchphrase and tag from the media about immigration and just code word it. Pilgrims and different dimension, and yeah.
So we have a couple things. Like we got the point.
Yes.
If you take out the maid and even this heavy dialogue from this interrogation scene, you would have still completely got the point they were trying to get across. it just would have felt a look slightly less heavy-handed. It would have felt a little more undertoned, and you still could have understood. The biggest issue with these episodes, they again, as we've said in multiple episodes before, they treat the audience as though they're children. Like, we don't understand. We can't figure things out. We're just really dumb.
Like, and overall, even besides that, like, this is the episode I would have wanted for Not All Men. Like, if they would have treated that episode like they did this one, it would have been great. Like, I would have really enjoyed it because, as I said, I do like the horror aspect. And I really like this one because it was intense. It wasn't scary, but it was, like, I don't know if you want to call it intimidating. Like,
it felt like a thriller almost.
Yeah. And so I would have really liked to have seen this writer do the other one because I think it would have gone really well compared to what it was.
I would like all the episodes we didn't care for as much to have taken this approach a little more. Let's a little bit more undertones, not so much throw it in your face. Yes. Even though, again, this episode also still suffers from that to a degree.
But I think that had the previous episodes done this method, we wouldn't have had such a disdain for it.
We wouldn't have.
Like,
that's the thing.
By this episode, it wouldn't have been like, ugh, I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it.
Well, there's that too, yes. We've gotten it so much that now, once we see something,
we're
looking for it. And that,
so.
unfortunately, isn't a good thing.
No.
But I was going to say earlier, with her being so out of place, we get that she's from another dimension.
Yes.
We finally figure that out, which was my only other tiny little complaint. They really take a long time to tell you, even though they try to tell you like 14 times throughout the episode. It gets a little annoying, but not a huge deal. I feel like the other dimension she's from is our dimension.
Yeah.
And this dimension is another dimension aside from ours. Just because how many odd things. Yes, she stands out. Some of the other characters stand out in their old-timey looks and views. Even the agency is weird. And how they do things and this technology they have.
Yeah.
Even like her mugshot. It was like, oh, we have a circular light and this little weird thing on this. Like, it was different enough to say, I feel like this is the other dimension. That she came
Possibly.
from our dimension that screwed itself up and destroyed itself, and we made our way over.
And that would make sense.
Yeah, exactly. That would make sense.
It makes perfect sense, actually.
So that's my opinion.
Yeah, my only other theory would be that a different dimension that had a different timeline as far as they are still back in that retro area. But
see, I would say that too because of how she looked.
And like
but the shots they kept panning to didn't look like a retro.
No, I meant as far as like her herself and her friends came from a dimension that was in a different timeline.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying the flashbacks we got to that dimension
yeah.
didn't look retro. It would have been cool if it did, because it would explain a lot more. But it didn't look. You know, we didn't get a lot, and they still could probably explain it away.
Yeah.
But I still I don't know.
I don't know.
You never know. It was a cool episode. It was very Twilight Zone.
Yes.
There was some weird, and maybe y'all might know, and if we looked it up, maybe there's a reason behind it. But ice cream played a big role in this episode.
Yes.
I'm not sure why, but it did.
The ice cream truck came in the beginning. The ice cream truck saved the day. Well,
we
saved
saw
the day.
the random guards eating ice cream as they were running away, and then Jordan Peele, in the very end of his last little thing, is holding an ice cream cone. Doesn't do anything with it. He looks really awkward holding it, but he's holding it.
I don't know. To me, that almost... Okay, it happens nowadays too, considering that we have one that goes through our community, but you don't actually see many ice cream trucks these days. So I'm wondering if that itself was playing into the whole where they come from in a sense.
Well, where I used to live, there was an ice cream truck that came through there.
Like when I lived in Germany, there was one that came through on the base the whole time. But then when I moved here, did not see a single one. And then I moved down here, and here they are again. So
no, they're around. They're doing things. Huh, but anyways, any final thoughts?
Nope. As I said, I definitely, oddly enough, compared to what we've been watching recently, would recommend watching this one.
I agree. It was a good episode. Not the greatest episode, but it was a good episode. It was a good Twilight Zone episode.
Yes, we finally got a Twilight Zone episode.
It almost... It's almost one of the most Twilight Zone episodes we've had.
Yes.
Surprisingly enough. So it's almost sad that we're not giving it 4 out of 5.
Yes.
Almost sad. I really want to give it 2, but I had too many issues with it to give it there. So it's still 3 out of 5, but it was very Twilight Zone, and I enjoyed that a lot out of it.
Yay!
So, let us know what you thought down in the comments below. Hit that like button down there to the people who may watch this who don't like clicking like buttons for some reason. Do that. As always, you can reach me at Stars Untraveled, reach Amanda at KZ Pup, reach the show at Beyond Our Focus, practically anywhere, including YouTube and podcast services around the globe. Maybe.
California?
Still one of the most viewed places. Someone in California really likes us.
Sweden.
If you're watching this, let us know. You're probably not watching this. But if you are...
Or if you're watching from another dimension, don't tell us, because the government might find you.
Well, they seem to hunt people down for that. But anyway, I think that's it, huh? Yeah, I guess. Till next time. Those were terrible snaps. Till next time, long days and pleasant